Advent Church. And good afternoon and happy Sabbath to those of you who've joined us online. Welcome back to our evening service. Thank you for joining. And I pray that you'll be richly blessed as we spend the remaining moments of the Sabbath together. We will start with hymn number 326. Please turn your hymnals to hymn number 326. Open My Eyes, hymn number 326. Turn the Bible study hour over to Pastor Lloyd Grubb.
So good evening again, everyone, and welcome to this evening's study. We'll be looking at a topic, commandment keeping. Is good. It's a godsend. All right, so commandment keeping is a godsend in time of trouble. This is what we're looking at. So welcome again. If you just bow your heads with me for a short prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, I pray a blessing, dear Lord, upon us here as we study and those who are online. Pray, dear Lord, that you may continue to be our guide in all things. And as Sister Marta has requested, I pray, dear Lord, a blessing, your hands upon our friend who will be doing a surgery soon, and upon Daniel also, that you may guide him along, depending on the outcome. And hopefully, dear Lord, it'll be a negative outcome for the test he soon be getting. May you be with us, dear Lord, as we study together. May your word, dear Lord, establish us that we might walk in truth and honesty all the days of our lives. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So what I'm going to do, commandment keeping in times of trouble, is a thought that I will be building upon in the upcoming months. And for some of the latest things that happen in society is what encouraging me to do this study. So we start off by looking at Matthew chapter 24, verse 4 through 7. Matthew 24, verse 4 through 7. And what I'm going to show you here is this idea that when trouble hits, in times of peace, anybody can preach whatever they preach, and it sounds pretty. But when trouble hits, if you're not keeping commandment, and when I say commandment, I'm talking about the 10 Commandments, natural law, spiritual law, social laws. There's literal laws that govern the way things are supposed to exist and be. If you're not a practice of these laws, you're going to be in a bad situation when trouble hits. And as we hear people are worried about things could get worse this year over last year and over the previous year, one thing we have to be concerned about and study back to what happened in times when society went into trouble. And whether it be we're talking about Jim Crow time, with the what do you call it, the debt situation, the Great Depression, or we're talking about things like the Dark Ages. We go back and study, and we kind of try to understand what made it that society could not pull itself out of the Dark Ages, out of these situations, why it was so difficult. And so this is what I want to address today. So notice here, Matthew 24, verse 4 through 7. And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. So these things are going to be, right? So moving forward, one has to have this type of idea that this is the situation we're moving in. So God had told his children to be prepared for these things because they're going to be. So what we're constantly seeing in our society is these troubles, and these troubles seem to be getting worse. And the Bible predicates it's going to get worse, but the Bible says we're supposed to maintain ourselves. So then the thought in my mind is, why is it that it was so difficult for 1,260 years for Europe to pull itself out of the Dark Ages, even though they, quote unquote, had the gospel? Because they literally had the gospel in their midst, in the geographical location. Why is it that, it took so long for America to pull itself out of the Great Depression? And so these things have got me thinking. And last year I started some study on prophecy. And as I say, I'm starting back up here with this little study we're going to do here to introduce the thought. And this is the big thought I'm going to be going after. And I'm going to show you very clearly why I believe. And then you will be the judge if my meditation is in the right direction. Why I believe it was so difficult. Now, notice here, there's two things to watch here in this passage of scripture we read. These two factors that are important when trouble comes is the situation of deception and also troublous time. So notice it says there's going to be people deceiving you, and also there's going to be troublous time. There are two things, right? And he's telling them what should be the sign of the ages, or what should be the sign when things are going to wrap up. Being lawless is a disadvantage in these situations. This is what I'm going to try to prove to you here. When I say lawless, I'm not talking about, as I say, just keeping the 10 Commandments. All laws, natural laws, laws to do with cleanliness, it's a disadvantage, right? So think of with me, there's two different things that are going on in society. One is being deceived, and one, there's troubles. So if you're lawless, both are a disadvantage. You're disadvantaged by troubles and deception. So think about this, right? What we're facing with a lot is this concept of conspiracy theory, right? People are deceiving people. People are telling them, I'm for you, but I'm not for you. So this is not my opinion. This is literally what's happening. If you observe, everybody can observe this. There's a lot of conspiracy. And everybody's saying this group is tricking this group, or this person is tricking this group, and these people in this group say, no, they're the one that are deceived because they partake of fake media. And everybody's blaming everybody for being deceived. So somebody's being deceived, right? Yes? Somebody's been deceived, because if both groups are blaming the other of being under deception, somebody's been deceived. Now, you know some of the deceptions right now is that who's running the country, like Mitch McConnell, Senator Nancy Pelosi, whatever, they belong to some cult of pedophile devil worshippers, so forth and so on, right? That's the whole idea. All the people in the country, they belong to some devil cult that are pedophile. That's one of the deception running. So it's either it's true or it's not true, but it's wild stuff. But if you're lawless, my belief is that you're more susceptible to be deceived, because you already have no foundation in any reality and anything solid. You don't know what's solid, right? You don't know what is concrete to begin with. So you're easily blown to and fro. So notice Christ says that this is going to be part of the problem. Now, here's why I believe it's a problem. Because when trouble hits, what you need is, number one, you need people to be able to trust. Is that true? You need to know what is trust, what is a trustworthy person or a trustworthy source. Because if you don't know what is trustworthy, it makes the trouble worse. Because you don't know, because normally they say, anytime there's an emergency, politicians use emergency to forward their corrupt agenda. If there's an emergency, there's money given out to help the people who are suffering from emergency, and the criminals turn out. Somebody was telling me that that they was watching a video, and the person was saying, this is the time that the multi-level marketing guys make big money. When people are broke or people are sick. Multi-level marketing strategy or Ponzi scheme. Because what everybody is looking for now. So money. Quick buck. Because they don't need the money 10 years from now or 5 years from now. They need the money what? Now. And tricksters always, their biggest ploy is they're going to tell you how to get the money now. So when there's trouble, is that the cockroaches come out. Because they know people are desperate. And desperate people make really dumb, quick decisions. Right? So in time of trouble, not knowing who to trust and the sources to trust is very dangerous, because you're at a disadvantage, because now the hucksters are out in full force because they know there's desperate people. Payday loans. Why you do payday loans? Because I'm not going to be waiting no time for no check to clear and deposit. I need the money right now, and I'll lose some of the money to get the money in my hand. Right? So where do payday loans normally exist? In Rumsfeld and in the Hamptons? No. It exists in the hood. Right? Now in the Hamptons, they have their own deal, but they deal with loan sharks and stuff like that. They deal with bigger fish, bigger cats. Right? But the payday loan stuff is in those areas. So if you're at a disadvantage, when trouble hits, you're even more at a disadvantage. Right? Because the trouble exacerbates the problem, because you remember when Haiti went through the earthquake, every single nonprofit run down to Haiti. How did Haiti improve? Nah. Right? You go look at Congo. Congo have so much nonprofit working in Congo, but Congo have a lot of diamonds. But you never hear about these people improve. But you talk about how many churches and nonprofits they're over there. They're trying to help the people. Give us the donation. We go help them. We go get the little kids that are starving food. But you never hear about the problem being fixed. But you see flights leaving Congo all the time. And you say, how much diamond leave on every flight? They're not there for the people. They're there because the people are desperate. Desperate people will sell their soul basically to get out of the situation. And they've been selling their soul in that place for so long, and they're not getting out. Their situation never gets better because it will never get better. Hucksters turn up. So if you look at it, you can see part of that being going to be my present. I'm going to show short history why it's so difficult to get, because when people are desperate, there's other things going on. Sometimes they're ignorant. And when you're ignorant, you're susceptible to be deceived, because you're not trying to be stupid. You just don't have the information. And if you don't have the information, you can't double check what a person is saying, because you don't know how even to double check. So you're more easily deceived. That's why, and I'm going to show you, the Catholic Church was master of keeping people ignorant while having schools. Keeping people ignorant while having schools. You have a lot of ignorant people who are in schools, and then a lot of people don't get to go to school. So you keep just an elite and then everybody else. So notice these two things are lawlessness goes against when there's deceivers, because deceiver base everything he's doing on the fact that you're ignorant and you don't know, or you can analyze what he's saying, number one. Number two, when there's disasters, then people are desperate and they make desperate choices, and so they're more easily deceived. Again, if you have a bunch of cancer-filled corned beef in a warehouse and the FDA is not allowing you to sell it on the open market in America, and there's an earthquake, say in Haiti, did you find your place to get rid of your corned beef? Voila, we have corned beef for you guys. Y'all gonna die. You see, it's easier that way because that's how you move that stuff. But nobody wouldn't want it. Oh, but it's an emergency. We have to help the poor people, right? So a person that lies and steals and can't to succeed cannot govern. That's another thing I want to explore in a bigly way in the upcoming months. That a person that lies and steals to succeed cannot govern, period, can't govern. Because governing demands a certain set of skills. And you have to do concrete things. You either build a road or you don't build a road. You can't con people to believe there's a road there. Don't work. Can't con me, look, there's no road. You didn't build a bridge. Where's the bridge? You could tell me, say, well, you know, the bridge is built. It's the best bridge. And I'm going to look and say, oh yeah, but there's no bridge. Right? I'm going to drive my car and it's going to go over the cliff and I'm going to die. You see what I'm saying? But a con man is not dependent upon doing anything. He's just tricking you into believing that I'm going to do something and I'm going to give him my money. Right? You can't deliver anything concrete because that's what it is. So what I'm going to show is that I said this is really what is going on. So that's why in the Dark Ages, the Catholic Church never do anything for the people. So that's why they were able to keep people suffering but making people feel like they were doing something because we're just talking. We're just preaching. Your life is not improving. But when a disaster comes, it pulls the rug underneath everybody's feet. Because what a disaster does now is show you how wretched the situation is. So notice here, and also, you can never make society prosper because a con man cannot make society prosper. Or deceivers, right? Because what it is now, say you're in a bad way, a disaster will make it worse. So notice here, they don't have the compassionate skill to address problems. So to address problems, you need a certain level of compassion and you need skills to address problems. Because problems, you cannot deal with problems by approaching people and expecting for them to be able to pay the fair wage or to be able to figure it out or to be able to whatever. You have to have compassion. So that's why good leaders does not come from people who are narcissistic or people who are selfish, because selfish people can't be good leaders. Because what is the main focus of a selfish person? It's about them. What's the main focus of a leader? It's about the people. It's doing something to benefit the people. So again, you have two cities, there's a river, and if they would connect the two cities with a bridge, you would have more commerce. A good leader say, we're going to figure out how to build the bridge. A bad leader say, we're going to talk about the bridge, start collecting money, and the bridge will never appear because the bridge money is in my pocket. Does the people prosper in that way? No. So we'll see. So I'm going to read again the text. Notice here, and Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. And then he continued to say that many will come and say, they are Christ, and deceive many. Now, why is somebody saying that they're Christ and deceive many? What is the aim of that? Because the person is trying to do what? They're trying to get some financial benefit from the people. Right? Because nobody just get up and deceive somebody and say, I'm Christ. And then people say, okay, you're Christ. Okay, great. They have to now do something, because if I say I'm Christ, what do you expect me to start doing? Miracles, right? What else? Hmm? You need to hand the money? I need to hand the money. You need to hand, but Christ didn't hand out no money when he was on earth. So you see, I got you already. Because I know, no, you need to give me the money. I'm not going to give you the money. You need to take care of the people, right? So Christ need to take care of the people, right? What was the main thing that Christ did? That's what I want to answer for. What's the main thing that Christ did? That's the main thing, right? Heal the sick. So what if somebody come now and say they're the Christ and they start healing the sick? Could that be problematic, believable?
Yes. Yes.
Right, because they're healing the sick.
Feed the poor.
Feed the poor. Yeah. Feed the poor, right? See? So let's break that down now. So Christ said many will come and they will say I'm the Christ. So if somebody come and say I'm the Christ, somebody say, okay then, heal the sick. So what happened in most churches? You see they have healing ministry. Right? So is it working or is it not working? How you know? Why do people keep going back and get healing?
They still have hope.
Yeah, but when Christ heals people, they literally get up and walk. So what's going on there? Because that's a fascinating thought. Because again, Christ is supposed to lay a hand on a person and they get up and walk. But the people say, "I'm healed." You saw the videos, right? People say, "I'm healed."
Yeah, but
So what happened?
There's a problem that Jesus healed, and he said, "Go and sin no more."
Right. But separately from that, why is it that all these people coming out healing people? And then why are we not at their church? Because somebody said, "Listen, I'm a healer. I have healing I need." Why don't I go follow them? What is missing? Why more people don't follow?
It's a hoax.
Yeah, okay, I know it's a hoax, but I'm just saying. But some people follow and some people don't. But why is it a hoax? Why? Why is it how you know it's a hoax? I'm saying, how you know it's a hoax? Well, you say it's a hoax. Why? Why is it a hoax? I'm curious.
Because everybody be flocking to it. That's like I'm looking for healing, right?
Right, you're looking for healing. Why you not over there?
Because it's not permanent.
Okay, that's more what I'm looking for. It's not permanent, right? Because the person I'm healed. Well, okay, if you heal, you should stay healed, right? So what's going on there? Person got healed, and next week they're not healing anymore. Right? It's a temp. So, but why do that same person keep going to that church?
Because they're still hopeful.
So you said it before, because they're still hopeful. So then I would say they're deceived, right? They're deceived, and that's the problem. It doesn't work because it doesn't stay permanently healed. They believe in the con. It's the con more they believe in. And because they believe the con, they went up there, got the healing, and then the healing fade away. Right? And that's what the problem is. They don't go because it says many shall come and deceive. So it's the deception is the problem. It's not that the person deliver anything concrete.
It's like pharmaceuticals.
Right.
When a person is sick, they go get a pill, and it's like duct tape. Duct tape will fix the thing temporarily, but then you got to use the duct tape again. So like the pharmaceuticals, so they think they got to keep going back to the preacher because the preacher fixed them one time, so he's going to fix them again and again and again and again.
Right. So it's not, it doesn't hold. And so they're deceived. So the problem is they're deceived. So if you're keeping a commandment and you're doing something, you get a result, it holds because you know what to do to get the result. But when you're deceived, you don't get results. What you get is the deception. You fall in the trap of the deception and you don't get no results. So now, if a person, thinking about the dark ages now or Jim Crow any time, if a person falls for the deception and they believe that they got a healing or whatever, they're deceived by, you don't see results. You're not going to see any result. There's no result. They're saying that something good happened, but you can't ever see the results. Like, you understand what that deception is? The person believes something good happened, but you looking at them and you be like, I can't see the results. And they be like, I got healed. And then they happen off stage. I got healed, I'm healed, right? Because I remember seeing a video like where this lady, she was like probably 350 mash, 400 pounds. And the pastor said, get up out of your wheelchair. And she got up. She fell. No. And she like happened and she like, oh yeah, I'm healed. And I'm like, yeah, but that knee can't, because unless he heal her by say bionic knee. Bionic knee, be on her, upon her. But I would say that's healing. I said that's healing. Because he gave her brand new bionic knees. Because what's going to happen tomorrow when that 300-400 pounds hit that knee? Can't take the weight. The healing cannot be because, unless he give her a bionic knee. The healing has to be if he had put his hand on her and say, 200 pounds be gone. I'll be like, that's healing. Because I know the knee could now take the 200 less pounds. You see what I'm saying? the keeping the commandment is beneficial because it's practical. Because if somebody said, Lord, I listen to the health message and I lose 200 pounds, it's a miracle. I was like, great, it works permanently. Because that weight is going to come off the knee's not going to rip up. And the person going to be like, look at me, my knee's working again. You see what I'm saying? It's work, but the problem with miracle and this, when you deceive, you only, it's the success is only in your head. You get what I'm saying? The success is only in the head. Only is mentally the person has results, but the results are not real. It's not physical. There's no evidence for the results. You can't see the results. They mentally think that they're doing good. Does that make sense? Right? And that's why deceptions can keep a people in oppression for thousands of years. Because they're telling themselves they do good. But there's no evidence that look around, you can't say, how are you doing good? Does that make sense? You can't be the greatest without some evidence. You know, it was boxer Muhammad Ali. Somebody say, you always boasted, and they say, yeah, but I can back up my boast. Right? But if he was just boasting and talking all that crazy thing and they couldn't back it up, people would say it's mental. Right? And that's why they look at sometimes Christians as fanatic and crazy. Because and most people are wider than fanatical, they're talking all this stuff, but they have no evidence for the results that they're talking about. Does that make sense? There's no evidence.
That's how they make God a phony, because those things that happen, those miracles, those so-called miracles, they subscribe them to God.
Yeah.
They say praise God for it, but it's a phony miracle.
Yeah, it's a phony miracle.
So you make God a phony because it's phony.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like you got to get the results. So that's why it says many shall come in His name. Because there's somebody come in the name. Oh yeah, and the other thing about feeding the poor. So if God comes, right? Jesus, somebody come and say they're Jesus, right? So another big thing that Christ will do is feed the poor, feed the hungry. So, but it's very specific, His miracle. His miracle was He did like this and the bread multiplied, right? So somebody will have to do that, right? And the bread multiply. All right? What's the problem? We in America, right? There's a lot of bread. Some of it is seeming to be hybridized, causing gluten allergies. So anyhow, so you have the bread must multiply. But say if it not multiply, there's a lot of people who are suffering or poor. Is bread their problem? Is bread their problem? Is a lack of bread? Right. There's something wrong going on with the people, not bread.
In Matthew 10, verse 5,
Yes.
it commands the 12, it says, these 12 send forth, and then we're going to jump down to 6. It says, but go rather to the lost sheep. That means they're lost, they're deceived.
That's what the problem.
The believers are deceived.
That's right. You know, there's so many places that people go to help poor people because they're having financial problems or a problem feeding themselves. And it's areas where it's tropical. There's water, there's land, and there's all kind of stuff. Sunshine. And they're hungry. Just imagine, the most fertile area must say in the world, outside of probably Brazil, is in the Congo. And there's all these ministries going there to help the people. What's the problem? You're going to areas where the silverback gorilla can survive. But people who need less nutrients than them can't survive. What's the problem? What does the people need? They don't need con man. They need people going to teach them about doing something, about working with nature and nature's law. And get results that are permanent. But what they're going over to teach the people to pray. When you're praying, you're going to pray that say God make you start doing something to help yourself, right? To do something. There's a lot of people talking about they need help and they need to do better. And they live in a land of plenty and prosperity, right? You are a testimony. that you can come and work and put in your day's job in America and you can do fine. To me, the testimony of a person who is a dark skinned, a foreigner, can come to America and do phenomenally wealthy is a testimony that says if this person they're claiming is being discriminated against and they can do that good in a place that they're being discriminated against, have a hard time. How about the children of this? Right? You know what I'm saying? If you are the person that they'll put at the front of the line and you're not doing well, whose fault is that? So sometimes the problem, whether you're here or whether you're in somewhere in Africa or South America or whatever, is not the earth. It's the head. It's the thinking. Because if somebody, if I'm looking at a person, have a business, have employees, and is illegal in the country, I'm saying, wait a minute, say somebody illegal in the country, what is their problem? Right?
It's not even Trump's fault in what he's saying or what he's doing. It's you believing in what he's saying and doing.
How can you believe that? The man don't tell you how he gonna make you great, and you have the same means of becoming great that he has. Then you kind of deserve to be tricked in a certain way by him, because if you're foolish enough to think that. Because I'm saying you can bring me somebody and they could be the most hated group of person, and if they're willing to put their time in, they can come in an area that everybody hate them and they still do well. Then what does that say for the person who is the most loved and whatever? So you see, it's something in the mind. It's the philosophy is the problem, not what they're making it out to be, that, oh, somebody's oppressing them. Because if you want to do what you have to do, you can get it done. There's nothing to me, I don't see, probably there's something I've been missing in the Constitution, that the government has a right to give you a good life. You see something in the Constitution? That the government is the requirement of the government to give you the good life. I don't see that. It says the government should not stop us to pursue our happiness. Right? Not get in my way of being able to pursue whatever I want to make me happy. But there's nothing stopping anybody from going out there and pursuing what they want to pursue. Notice here, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but end is not yet. So is wars going to happen? Rumors of war is going to happen? Yes. One has to know that this is just part of how life is, right? These things just happen. You know, it's just things that, you know, sometimes things are up, sometimes things are down. But remember, Christ says that these things will happen. They must come to pass. It's just part of the process of life. But one thing I'll tell you, when things are in trouble, that's when, as I say, when the going gets rough, the rough get going, or the tough get going. You all Google and tell me what it is. You gotta get going, right? When things are going against you, you can either crumble or you can say, you know what happened? I'm gonna have to get going. Because what happened now, I have to put in more effort and more thinking and more whatever to make it. But often people can get sucked into these things. Notice here again, it says, for nation shall rise against nation. So that's going to happen, and that's happening. And kingdom against kingdom, so wars. There shall be famine. So I remember when I was young, a child, they had in the 1980s, they had the famine in Ethiopia. I didn't know that there was actually grain available, but it was the wars that caused it. The wars blocked the food, so there was a blockade, so they couldn't get the food to the people, so they started starving, right? So one thing I've learned over the years is that one always have to keep up in an ace up their sleeve, that you have to be prepared to feed yourself, right? And one of the things, that's why I love like a vegan diet and a plant-based diet, because you learn to survive off plants. Because no matter what happens, you're gonna have food. If all the animals run away and you can't find no cat or no, dog or anything like that to eat, you can eat some grains and some beans and rice or stuff, right? Very important to be able to always have that as an ace up your sleeve. That listen, I don't need, whatever the dog name is to die to make me live.
Like Venezuela, when they with the crisis that's going on, I saw some of the articles that were being broadcast, and the people were saying they were starving, and all they were giving them was, they were complaining because they were saying, all they're giving us is vegetables and rice and mangoes and fruits. They're not giving us any meat.
Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, I remember hearing it, I'm thinking, these people are in Venezuela, and I'm over here daydreaming for some mangoes, and these people are starving. It's like, it's mindset, you know, it's diet is what you practice, you know, and if I was there, probably I'll be starving too. And like thinking every day I'm suffering here, because if you're in that mindset, then you just think that's food. And I know what that mindset is like. It's not good. But when you practice certain things, when these things happen, you're at an advantage, right? You're not at a disadvantage. You see, when you practice to eat a certain way, live a certain way, it's things. If things fall apart, you'll get hit last, because you have to get real bad for you to come your door and become a problem. But people who are living the life of, you know, having a whole cow literally in their freezer, as somebody told me he had, when things go bad, it goes bad for them first, because after the cow run out of the freezer, they to them is not meat, is not food, unless they have slabs of meat and stuff like that. But here's the thing, though. It says here famine. So famine is always one of the things. But you look again, a lot of the problems that happen, the bigger issue here when I talk about my topic about commandment keeping and stuff like that, a lot of problems happen. It's more a problem when you're in an environment or in a mindset of survival of the fittest. And I think that was the mindset of Europe. They were so much into trouble, and they were taught so much selfishness, that what ended up happening in the Dark Ages and then what happened in what we call the Great Depression is that the environment was a selfish environment. The environment is about me and me alone. So when there's famine, it's the thinking would be that I need to take all the food for me, right, to survive. But by doing that, you know what happened? You create more of a problem. Now, what happened with the toilet papers last year? I remember telling everybody, say, go out and buy toilet paper, buy extra.
3 months before.
Right, 3 months before, you say, right? I have it on text, right? And I'm soon to delete those texts. So at least you remind everybody, say, 3 months before, right? I say, toilet paper is going to run out. I say, the mask going to run out, all these things going to run out. But I didn't believe that we would strategically in America, we would run out of toilet paper, because we have so much trees in America. Unlike other countries, we have a lot of trees. And we have like a big toilet paper factory up somewhere up there in New York. So I said, we're not going to run to toilet paper. Toilet paper is not going to be a problem. But what I'd figured out is that, yes, that might be true, but you never underestimate panicking people. When people panic, what they'll do is they'll buy enough toilet paper. They overcorrect, right? So they'll go and just buy, so that the manufacturers, if the manufacturers keep producing and they even do overtime, they can't ever keep up, because they just keep getting more, because, right? So I remember saying, listen, just go and get the toilet paper, because you have to follow them. And you have to make the problem worse. Just make, you know, you're going to become part of the problem too, right? So that you just have enough, just follow them, because you know they're going to do this. You start to understand human nature, that people overreact, right? But what does that do in a situation? Because a famine is a famine, it became a famine not for food but for toilet paper last year. So what does that do in a famine situation? Makes it worse. Does that make sense? You create more problem, because everybody now is not thinking in concert. Everybody's thinking self. So that selfishness now make a bad problem worse. So that's why the more selfish and narcissistic the people are, or the leadership is, you have to start think like them. And that was really what I was doing. I was thinking, okay, mask. I know what's going to happen. There's going to be a run on mask, and there will be no mask. So I say, hey, let's get masks. I tell everybody, get masks. But by telling everybody to get masks, then you create more problem. Because then more people are going to run and like, oh, there's going to be a mask shortage. That's what they're telling me. And then I was online, I'm hearing people say, listen, I remember somebody online said, listen, I'm going to tell you how to get the mask. Don't go in the city area to get the mask. Go in a rural area. They're not reacting. So go clean the shelves off over there. Right? So I remember telling everybody, just go out. Don't go in. Go out and get masks from the outer areas. Because if you go in the city, they already cleared the masks in the city already. Right? And here we are now a year later. We still can't get the mask. Right? And some people run out of masks by now, right? But that's what it is. And that's why they had to go to the cloth mask, because they know if you really want to get protected, you have to have an N95 mask. But there's not enough of that. And since there was no compassionate leadership to say we need to do what we need to do to protect the people, there was no contingency to make the mask, so we still can't keep the supply. So is there a famine of masks? No, not really. N95 mask is that says selfishness made it that the government did not make the move to produce the mask so that there would be no famine. And that's what's happening in those poor countries. Oftentimes the people are selfish or they don't know what to do, and the leadership, they themselves don't know what to do, and they don't understand concert. You work together to build a stockpile and to help your people, because it's all about, I'm in the presidency just to make enough money so I can live a more billionaire lifestyle when I'm finished. I don't care about you all. And that was what it is. So that's where you can see how the great, I'm gonna break it down in pieces in the upcoming weeks, how the Dark Ages continued, how the Great Depression, they couldn't get it. Because what was the idea of the Great Depression? America entered in the Great Depression because of Jim Crow. They were trying to be selfish, and they were trying to hurt blacks, but they end up hurting the whole economy and destroyed the whole economy with this greed and selfishness and hate. And when you have that type of environment, society don't prosper, just more curse. So, Brother Green, you were going to say, please.
I remember I was talking to my brother-in-law, and a friend of his that live in Patterson, he said that he would come to Newton,
Yes.
to come shopping,
Right.
because he know that he wouldn't get exposed and he'd be able to get the product he need over here in Newton.
Right.
And
So for everybody geographically, Patterson is almost but it's closer to the city. And then Newton, where we're at, close to where we're at, is more towards Pennsylvania. So you leave from Patterson all the way to Newton to go and shop, because that would be a wise move, right? You're going away from the city, so you're going to have less run on the products than if you're in a city area. Because I remember I'd seen the rationing for chicken more closer to that area in ShopRite, because I brought somebody shopping over there. And then when I came over here, there was not rationing at that time. So if you wanted to buy chicken at that time, you don't go over there and go buy chicken. I'm just give you one. You come over here and go buy chicken over here, right? Now, the next thing is pestilence, right? So when pestilence happen, I don't need to talk about it, because last year shows you. If you don't have a government who's looking out for the people, and they just focus on how to rob the people or whatever, you can see how pestilence can get out of control, right? Because notice everybody, what was the main aim for a large percent of our population, about 50% of the population? Their focal point is, I don't care if Granny gets sick. I don't care if you get sick. I'm going to do what is best for me. And what is best for me is to be free. Somebody say, how could God, why would you cover up the beautiful face that God gave you? You know, and I was in a store, and this lady told me, said, Lord, I love wearing masks. I said, why? She said, oh, because I'm old and wrinkled, and masks cover up my wrinkles. So I never heard that before, right? So you do every money to help the other. You can see how selfishness become the undoing of people, right? Because they can't do anything to help. And then when there's disasters, what happens when there's a disaster? Same thing again. When people are selfish, they're just there to take whatever they can for themselves. They're not thinking about community. But that's the time when you need communities most. And if you look at any community, to get them out of the bind that they're in, what these community needs is more concert effort. The whole community working together. What they need is to be able to have groups working together. And what is hard for them to find is each other to work together. If you go to a certain area, everybody's trying to rip you off. They're not trying to say, listen, let's see if we can work together and help each other out of the situation. They're trying to see how they can rip each other off. And that to me is where church groups come in valuable. The more disease is the more we need to work together. The more we need to look out for each other. The more pestilence, all these things, the more we need to look out for each other. Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 through 21. A few more thoughts I want to share with you, because I want to lay this out very clearly, and I'm going to show you historically why this was so much of a problem. Why it's so difficult, and I really see why there's areas of the country, there's countries in the world who can't get themselves out of a Great Depression. They're in a Great Depression. Or they're in a dark age situation, and they can't work to get themselves out of it, because what happened? Individuals in the society might do well, but the group not doing well, because the group can't do well, because the group need everybody to work together, and everybody is like trying to steal for themselves. Everybody's looking to their own quarters. Notice Matthew 7, verse 13 through 21. It says, entering at the straight great gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be that go thereon. So when we talk about disaster and this destruction, we see that most people work in that way. We don't want to work in that way. We want to work basically for each other. We want to see each other as a source of blessing and a source to give blessing. Notice it says here, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and there few there be that find it. And notice what I said next now. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistle? So I was talking to Brother Green, and this is something I'm going to have to show in the upcoming weeks, that one of the things that's going on, and I was sharing some people, is that you have got to look at some of the preachers out there, what they're preaching. And many of these preachers, they've been caught in so many scandals and so many problems that they've been caught up with. And yet people still going in by the thousands to receive of them. And that's the problem. They have a very bad track record, and yet people are expecting to get something from them. And nobody hasn't get it. And this is why I asked the question about healing. If somebody's healing and it's all these sick people in the church, what's the problem? It's not working. And if you've been in a church and a person been healing, they have a healing ministry, and it's not working. I remember a pastor preached a sermon when I was in England. I remember this sermon to this day. Part of the sermon I remember this pastor preached. He was an American pastor, and he said when he was a young pastor, he had joined his church, and he went to somebody's bedside who was sick and about to die. And he went and prayed for the person, and the person got healed. Person healed. And I think he said went to another person, prayed for them, and they healed. So he said, man, starting a healing ministry. Praying for people and they're healing. So he said he went to the next person, prayed for them, they die. So he said, okay. He went to another person who on a deathbed, prayed for them, they die again. He said, next you know, people start saying, don't bring the pastor. If you die, don't bring the pastor because you're going to die. Right? Because I think you could get caught up into your hype. Does that make sense? He said, man, he thought he had a healing ministry. But he said one person died, then another person died, then I guess rumors started to spread that if a pastor come to your bedside, you're dead. I always remember that. Right? You're dead. But I think sometimes they get caught up into their own hype. But they don't see no evidence that what they're preaching is really working. And so to me, the testimony is this. Again, if you look at what happened in the Dark Ages, which we're going to spend some time on, you look at what happened in the time like of Jim Crow and stuff like that. Why is the country couldn't pull itself out of that Great Depression? Because what was needed for them to say, we're going to bless. We're going to bless. And when we bless, we're going to get a blessing. And what's needed right now for the healing of the country is that the people who are there want to scale the walls of Rome, those Roman walls, and go take out the people who are leading them. They have a right. They have a real plea. Many of them are living in very bad conditions and suffering. They're going about it the wrong way. Scaling those walls and probably trying to burn down Congress is not going to fix the problem. Because even if they did that, tomorrow they would still have their problems. They're probably going to go away. There's things that we ought to do to fix these problems. And what they're trying to do, I guess, is similar to going to a false prophet and expecting to bless when he never blessed anybody. If these people have been in Congress for all this time and they never deliver to those poor people in West Virginia and Tennessee and those places, I don't know if scaling that wall and burning the place down is going to help, right? Because I'll say the same thing for somebody in Congo. I'll say the same thing for somebody in Haiti. You need to get up and get going yourself. You have to make sure that you prosper. You're going to make sure that you get great. But they're not going to deliver it to you. What is it? They've been doing this for so long and they never deliver it to you. What do you think they're going to deliver it now? You got to go and help you. I help you and you and you. We're going to help each other. We're going to work together in this town to help this town, but we're not going to look for them to help us because they never did. If they send our jobs abroad, we're going to figure out how we can make some jobs here and we can help each other here. We got to look out for we, but why you go, they keep talking about the swamp. Well, if you convince it's a swamp, then leave the swamp alone.
Like you said, lose your wallet, supporting a local man.
Yeah, I prefer to do that. Even if I know it was a losing cause, I'm lose. Because at least I know I'm going to help out the... As a matter of fact, that same person, he ended up closing the business, selling the business. And I was in ShopRite sometime in December. And all of a sudden, I was at the cash out and somebody touched me and I turned around, it was him. We had a good talk. So still my friend because I was supporting him, right? And he came up and he said hi to me, everything like that, because I'm like, man, I'm in your corner. Until you fail, I'm with you, right? I'm going to spend my money with you. I'm not spending my money over there. Unless you don't have the product, then I go over there. But if you didn't have it, I will go somewhere else. But, and that's what it is. And to this day, I don't have to go look him up. If he see me come over, he talk to me. Because he was a local businessman that I was very clear, I'm going to support you. And sometimes he didn't even have the product and he would order the product for me. Because I was saying, listen, this is what more people need to do. Now, if more people had done that, he probably still would be in business. You see what I'm saying? And then he's a local guy and he's a local businessman, so the money is floating in the community. But this is what people don't understand. You got to say, listen, I'm not worried about what Walmart is doing or what Jeff Bezos is doing, because I think Jeff Bezos is doing an excellent job. And what you need to do is take lessons from him, right? Take encouragement from him and say, I'm going to do an excellent job too. You see what I'm saying? But you look into people who they're not doing anything, why you worry about them? And they keep voting and they keep getting to... So I'm like, listen, this man, as I say, his job is not supposed to make you prosper. A bridge doesn't per se make a community prosper. It just helps the business people make more business. That's his job. His job is not to settle issues about morality. I don't know why they keep going to politicians to settle moral issues. You see what I'm saying? It's like the politician is supposed to build bridges and do security and education. Why are you trying to force him to be a pastor? And to be a moral person, you be a moral person. Make your pastor do that. Or you can try to force a politician to do a job that is not the politician's job. His job is to facilitate certain rules and laws and to pay for certain things like the air traffic control and CDC and FDA, FTC. That's the politician's job. Politician's job is not to do the business, right? And so you still have to go figure out how you going to do a deal. Listen, you can go to China, India right now and do a deal with them. You don't need a free trade agreement. You can't go start a business and say, find a Chinese partner or whatever, and they'll do business with you, right? You just probably don't have no intellectual property because they're going to steal it. But you can do business with them. But somebody thinking, oh, it's the government. Government for what? The government facilitates certain things. They're not going to put food on your table, but people want, I guess, the government to put a chicken in their pot. And I don't think that's their job. And I don't know where they get this idea from. So notice here, almost there now. So it says here, ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorns or figs from thistle? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but every corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast in the fire. That's why I say they come and go, these false leaders. Wherefore, by their fruit you shall know them. Not every tree one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. So notice here, there's a lot of people who are Christians, a lot of pastors out there preaching, and they're saying, Lord, Lord, but Christ is very clear. It's the person who do the will of the Father is in heaven. And so much of what we see as Christianity on the media, on TV, is just people who are preaching and not doing anything. They're just preaching, and what you look at the words they're preaching, it doesn't do anything for the people. And that was the problem in the Dark Ages. The Catholic Church had a lot of synods, they had a lot of meetings, a lot of symposiums, a lot of whatever, and they had philosophy, but when you analyze their philosophy, it would not make people better because it was against doing. That was a problem. It was anti-doing. You got to do something for yourself. You got to pick up yourself by the bootstrap. Well, that don't work. But pick up yourself somehow. Put yourself on the elevator. Put yourself, that's the better way to say it. Put yourself on the elevator and go to the floor that the company is interviewing, and that's how you do something for yourself. Sometime I think, like you and I, we have to be willing sometime to move from where we're at, even the country, for our own blessing. If you realize there's no job in your local community, you can pray for prosperity all day long. But probably what you need to do is pack up your stuff and go where there's jobs. Right? And if you say, Lord, the job I do, they're only employed in Brazil. Well, see you later, man. You need to go to Brazil. I was watching the guy that on Shark Tank. He's called Mr. Wonderful. I don't remember his name. It's almost there in my head. But anyhow, he said that if he was talking to a young person right now and advising them, no, he wasn't on the program. I was watching him in an interview. And he said, if he was advising a young person right now who's starting out in business, the business world, what to do, he said one thing he would advise them is to go to an emerging economy. Go to somewhere like India, Brazil, some of these places, because they have so much growth capacity that you'll be able to grow your business and grow in an area and you'll be fresh. While if you're in an area like this, you have too much competition. So that's why I said it, and I said it for real. Kevin O'Leary, that's what it is. You can look, if you go to YouTube, you see the interview, and he was answering that question. And he answered beautiful, because I think that's what it is. Like, why some of us are here, we're here because we found out that there was people hiring. There was opportunities, so we came for the opportunities, and God has blessed us. And something you have to move where the opportunities. So, you know, I've seen videos where somebody is in an area in West Virginia or Kentucky, and they're not doing well, and they're saying we're not doing well, and they complain. And I'm like, yeah, but move to one of these areas. But their politicians and their philosophers are telling them, oh, you don't need to live in these liberal areas with these liberal elites. Yeah, but you're starving, you're hungry, you can't take care of your family. You go where the jobs are at. Oh, but you're going to live amongst the liberal. What are you talking about? Everybody I've met that is conservative is a liberal. I've never met a conservative since I've been in America. Never. Never. And I challenge anybody, I've never met a conservative. Every conservative I've met is a liberal. I challenge anybody, bring me that conservative that you're talking about. Because I remember somebody even meet some of us and they say, you guys are ultra conservative. Probably that's why I'm so conservative that anybody else is just liberal to us. Right? What are you talking about, you conservative? Like, what is conservative? What moral level are you at that you're saying? So you're talking about not living in some of the most, one day I remember somebody was here at the church, doing something for us, a job for us. And it's a young guy, and he was saying something. So I said, so you're saying something. So I said, I'll say to you, son, let me explain something to you. When you're in the Northeast, it's the liberal area, but it's the most conservative area for lifestyle in America. When in the down south, is the conservative area, but it's the most liberal area for lifestyle. He looked at me, he said, wow, I never thought about that. I said, okay. And you're going to keep thinking about that from now going forward. I said, listen to me. The most liberal area in America is down south. It's the most immoral area in the country. You come up north, you don't see all kind of brothels and go-go bars or any of that stuff. It's hidden and it's few. You go down south, big billboards, big clubs, it's big. They abuse their women and scandalize them. But yet they say it's the most conservative part of the area. So listen, I'm saying that to you, free your mind. If you have a place you can get a job, go get a job. Don't get in these people talking foolish about liberal and conservative. The most controlled area in the United States that limits certain wickedness from going on is the Northeast. China anybody on this? Even the way we dress to come to church is more conservative because it's a more business area. People in the Northeast dress more for business, for work. But people say, oh, it's the most liberal area in the country. Really? How? I've lived here and I've traveled to different places, down south, Florida, out west. This is the most conservative area in the United States. But yet people say it's the most liberal area. Strange. I think it's very strange. It's just people foolish ideology of what they call liberal or conservative. Or you can have, look, you go in these areas around the Northeast, some of the most cleanest, manicured landscape, people's yard. They don't allow certain type of rubbish, car piling up, 10 cars rotting out, rusting out, trailers everywhere, whatever. But yet this is the liberal Northeast. How is that liberal? That to me is very conservative, don't you think? But so people get convoluted in their mind and come up with all these crazy things. There's a lot of things. Sound pollution. You go into most foreign countries, there's a sound music blaring and stuff like that. In the Northeast, they shut you down for that stuff. So that to me would be conservative, because conservative, you're trying to conserve something. Liberal, you just let it loose. And as I say, it seems like it's more crazy people down there because they seem more go-go bars and stuff like that. They're trying to just strip themselves off. It's crazy. So, there's a lot of things, but, you try to sometimes challenge people thinking in a nice way. So when you're living by rules or commands, you can bless more because you do things that work and get results. And it's results based. And one day I'm going to have that discussion because I'm going to show. And I show you what people call conservative and liberal. You don't meet these people. Think about Rush Limbaugh. He's probably the king of conservatism. And this is somebody that's been caught taking drugs and, overdosing almost or whatever. I don't know if he almost died on drugs. What kind of conservative is this? Right? But somebody says, oh, he's conservative. Like, a comparison to who? Depends on who you're talking about, conservative. What do you mean conservative? Right? Alex Jones, is he on his second or third marriage or whatever? Did he beat his wife the last time? How is he conservative? Right? It sounds like somebody hamped up on drugs. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of things what people call conservative, it's not really conservative. It's just some foolish idea of what's coming. I know what with people, and I say this, and I'm going to go to close off here. But people normally have ideology of what they look up to. But it's not what you look up to, it's what you're living by and who around you living by that. Because everybody can talk about conservative and we moral and this liberal here and that liberal here. And you find some of the liberals are more conservative than some of the conservatives. So quickly, if you look at Daniel 8, verse 23 to 25, just two texts to close. And then we're going to keep expanding. So I'm going to show you. Because remember, the Catholic Church will be conservative. And what church is filled with more rapists? What church would have the most conservative priests and have the most conservative worship service? It's the Catholic Church. There's none church bar none that's more conservative, more quiet and holy. And you have the choir boy, and most of them are raped. Think about that. How conservative is that? Right? How conservative is that? Right? So a lot of things that people talk about it's the opposite. Notice here. And in the latter times of their kingdom, when the transgression are come to a full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. This is the Pope himself. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his power alone, because he's going to use countries like France military to murder people. And he shall destroy wonderfully. So notice here, Daniel 8, verse 23. So he shall destroy wonderfully. So notice here, the dead bodies you can't hide, right? Like you could tell me all day long that COVID-19 is a hoax and this is a hoax and that is a hoax. Well, how are you going to hide the dead bodies? So you can't casually look and see that there's more people dying, just from people you know and people who you see on the news. And I don't need to see the numbers to know that people are dying. I just keep hearing about people dying more than any other years, and I'm somebody that pay attention to that. So notice he shall destroy wonderfully. Millions and millions of people just died from wars and bubonic plague and all these things. Starvation, famine, and we cover some of that, but we're going to go back over and clearly show that when you have certain people who are in charge and they're just about looking good but not doing good, and they don't know how to govern from a mercy point of view, then there's just dead bodies. Notice here, and shall prosper and practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. So here the word say he prosper. Now what do you have to understand here and get clear? If you look at Europe under the leadership of the papacy and the Pope himself and those kings in the 7 countries that followed him, what you would notice is that the church prospered but the people suffered. So this is a very key point I'm going to show you upcoming. That you could have a country where the separation between the rich and the poor is so drastic that you could have people literally in the country starving while the rich living so large. Does that make sense? So you could, because some people believe that because there's billionaires in America, that there's not poor people in America. And America, if you look at the top countries with the biggest separation of rich and poor, you'll find America is in the top 10, Russia is in the top 10, South Korea. Even though they're producing Hyundai, LGs, and Samsungs, but you have some people super rich over here and then super poor. All right? Very important. So the Catholic Church prospered, but there was all this destruction and death and killing that was going on. And so some people say, oh, well, there's prosperity. Look at this rich person over here. We have the richest people in the world in our borders, but then we have some of the poorest people in the world also in the borders, right? Because it's that method of governing. They call it trickle-down theory. All kind of names for it, but it's the same thing. It's to make a small amount of people super rich and then the majority of the people begging for bread. So we're going to flesh it out and show you how the principles and policies that they have in place is doing that. And through his policy also shall cause witchcraft to prosper in his hand. Because what is witchcraft? You heal a person, but they not really heal. There's no long-term benefit for the healing. So it's witchcraft. Witchcraft, you're a blessing person, but they're really not blessed. They think they're blessed because they're deceived. That's what witchcraft is. You never get a true blessing. But when you keep in the commandments of God, you get a true blessing. And to prosper. And once again, and by peace shall destroy many. It's a contradiction. How can you, in a peace situation, destroy many? Remember, you can look at the history of America. What's the history? Over 300 peace agreements with the native Indians, and all of them were broken. And there's hardly the native Indians living anymore. You see how peace can give you dead bodies? Because what does the peace do? The peace say, oh, so we're friends now. My head got cut off. You tricked me into laying my arms down so you can kill me. And destroy many. So you always have to look for dead bodies. If the dead bodies are piling up, the people piling up the dead bodies are evil. I don't care what they tell you. Don't be deceived by it. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but shall be broken without hands. And wherever I left off, because of the sake of time, I'll pick up next Sabbath. So keep in mind where we're going. I want to look at things like survival of the fittest. And I want to look at why is it that when you have selfish people, I want to delve down into that. Why prosperity becomes checked and only few prosper, the priests and, the priests. So that's why people can understand they have all these mega church pastors who are multi-billionaires. Multi-millionaires. I don't know if any of them reach $1 billion. I don't know if Pat Robertson probably would be the older one. But multi-millionaires, and yet there's so much poor people in their churches. I want to show you why, and that's the old Catholic problem. I want to show you this is what's going on. Multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, but yet there's all these poor people. So I want to show you this in the upcoming weeks and why it does not work and why if we keep going on this road, we're going to end up in the bad times because the end of all of this ultimately is things like the French Revolution and so forth and so on. So, Brother Green, if you don't just come forward, we'll skip the song because of the sake of time. Brother Green will just do a prayer for us. And just remember to pray for Daniel and pray for Sister Mother Friend who's having a surgery January 20th. God bless you all.
Pray that you have a wonderful week coming up. And as we said, this morning's sermon. Sometimes we have to just accept deliverance and just walk in it. The Lord says that He has delivered us, and we just accept it and walk in it. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for your blessing that you continue to grant unto us. We thank you for allowing us to have a wonderful Sabbath spent together. And pray for those who are online. I ask that you may continue to be with Daniel. May continue to guide him and protect him. Thank you for allowing, again, for him to see another year. And for the procedure or the test that he's supposed to do shortly, I pray, oh Lord, as Pastor has prayed before, that it may be favorable. Also ask that you may please be with Sister Martha's friend who's going to be doing the surgery on the 20th. Pray, oh Lord, that you may, next Tuesday, 2 Tuesdays from today, I pray that you may guide it and protect. And I pray, oh Lord, that everything may be successful, may be with us here as we go through another week. I pray that you may continue to guide us and may you protect us from the danger and harms that's around us. Help us, oh Lord, that as we see that there is many deception, that we may not be deceived, that we may hold fast to that word, that we may go to those sources that has proven themselves over and over if we're looking for truth. I ask that you may please guide us as we seek to disseminate the gospel that you have given to us. Help us, oh Lord, that we may be guided by your principle. As you said, that we should hear a little and hear a little. I pray, oh Lord, that you may guide us into your word. May you bless us this week for Christ's sake. Amen. Join us again next week, and have a wonderful